A very warm welcome to the ninth recitation, which is about JavaScript loops and arrays. The purpose of this recitation is to practice with JavaScript programs which involve loop and array concepts. So this recitation is related to the content on chapter 20 of the Fluency textbook. And before we start, I want to give a gentle reminder to fill the quiz form so as to be marked for attendance, and make sure to mention the honor code before submitting the assignments. So now let's get started with the topic. We will be creating functions which use the concept of arrays and loops. So we essentially have like two arrays. One has the names of the people and the other has the number of books they own. So we will be creating functions to do the following: traverse the books owned in order, then traversing names in order, traversing books owned in reverse order, then traversing names in reverse order, then finding the average of the books owned in the array, then the largest number of books owned, and also we will be displaying a bar graph where you can see the number of books which are owned by each person. So there is a template on Canvas which can be found under the Files tab. If you go in the recitation information under my name, Jayashri Damala, you can find the file in the Recitation 9 folder. You download the Recitation 9 Array Basics initial HTML file, and this is where we are going to start coding. The program, so like this is how the code initial file looks like. And if we run the code, we can see that it doesn't do much and it just has the content displayed on it right now. So we will be incrementally developing the code. That is, we will finish one function after the other and see what changes are being made. And so let's get started. First, we will create two arrays. One is for the names of the people and the other is for the number of books that are owned. So we can go here. So we can go here, and over here we can see that there's a code create array of names. So we have the variable names that is equal to new array. So this is how arrays are created in JavaScript. You have to use the keyword new array and then write the elements of the array. So here the names are written: Joey, Mary, Tom, so as and so forth. Then we have to create an other array which will consist of two-digit integers. So over here again we will use the keyword new array, and inside of that we will write 10. That means that the array contains 10 elements. Then we will write a for loop. The for loop essentially it goes for 10 steps, and what it does, it generates a random value from 10 to 99 because we need two-digit integers. So it will use the mat.random function to generate random integers, and then it will append it in the array. So this way, every time you run the code, you will get a different array. So now that the two arrays are already declared, we can move on to write the function to print the array. So the loop will be written inside the function to iterate over the array elements. So let's go and write that loop. So on line 18, it's so we are line 13, it says the function print array. So this is where we are going to write our statement. We will have a for loop over here. The for loop will iterate over the length of the array. So we will have a variable I, which is declared to 0. And the condition is I has to be less than the length of the array. And if we increment it with 1 steps, then inside the for loop, we will write this will come inside the for loop document.write. So here we will print the array elements. So it will be A and plus a space. So the elements will be printed with a space, and this will just leave a line. So now we can save this. And this is how we can print the array values in order. Similarly, next is once we have written the function, we need to call the function, that is the print function. Only when we call the function, the result will be displayed. So we will call it twice, one for the traversing through the books and one for traversing the names. So let's go back to the code and let's write the code. And over here we can see that we can call the print function. So we'll write print array, and because we have to traverse the books owned, we can just write books. That's because that's the array name. And then over here we can write print array names. This will print the, and now if we go and check the output, we can see that the books owned are traversed. It is like this, and the names are also traversed. So it is over here like this. So now that we have the functions to print the array, we can move on to write the other functions where we traverse the array in the reverse order, then calculate the average, and then find the largest number, and then eventually create a graph. So we can go back to the code and we can print the values in the reverse order. So for that, we need to write a for loop again. But this time when we write the for loop, our initial variable is going to be the end of the array, that is a dot length, and then we will be decrementing accordingly. So we have this, then I has to be greater than equal to 0, which is the condition, and the steps is decremented. And we will have this document.write over here. Here in document.write, we can just write the array element with a space. So this is how you can print the array values in the reverse order. Let's go and check this out. Print reverse. So here we have this line. We can traverse the array in the reverse order for the name. So we can write print reverse. We can call the function print reverse on the array, which is books. Then we can call the function print reverse on the array names. So now if we save it and we can go run the file. So you can see one more thing that you must have noticed is that the numbers have changed over here. The reason being that we have used a random function. So every time we run the code, different numbers are going to be generated. So if you can see, the numbers are like this in order initially. And when we call the reverse function, the order gets reversed. So if you can see, the order has been reversed. So this is how the reverse function works. Now, the next thing that we have to do is we have to find the average of the array values for the book array. So in that, we have the function find average. Inside that, we can first create a variable sum and then initialize it to 0. Then we can loop through the array elements. So we have for variable I is equal to 0. We will loop through the array elements. As in when we look through the array elements, we can change the value of the sum. So the sum will become sum plus the array element. So we are adding all the array elements. Once we have the sum, we can find the average. So we can create a variable average, and average is essentially going to be sum divided by the length of the array. That is the number of items in. Oops. Once we have done that, instead of returning 0, we have to return the value of average. So now we can go down and check if we get the average value. So here we have the variable. So we can just have, so over here the function has to be called. So the function can be called, we can just remove this line and we can directly call the function. Okay, so we can write find average, and we need the average of the array books. So now we can go and check our code. So you can see the average of the books owned is 56. So now the average has also been calculated. The next thing that we have to do is we have to find the largest element in the array. So here we're going to create a variable large, which we will give the, which will be assigned to the first position of the array. Then we will have another variable large position, which will have a value of 0. Now we will iterate through the array. So we'll have variable I equal to 0, I less than a dot length, and I plus plus. We have to iterate through the array, and here we'll do the comparison. So if the value of array is greater than large, then the large value is replaced with a of I. The large value is replaced with a of I, and the large position becomes I. So we get the position of where the largest element is there and also the largest element. And then instead of returning 0, we will return the large position. So this way we can get the index of the largest element in the array. Now we can go and we can call the, so now if we can see using that function, we can find where the largest number is there in the books array. So we can have the, so we need to replace 0 with the largest number in the books array. So now this function find largest index will return the index with the largest number. So we can get the largest value by just saying books and then writing where, because that is the index. And then we need to find the person who has the most books. So we can write names of where. So this way we can get the largest number in the books array. And when we see, we can get the largest number of books owned is 98 and Eric owns the most books. We need to write the program to print the bar graphs by the value of numbers in the array. So for printing the bar graph, we are going to print the bar graphs using the stars. We need a nested loop over here. The outer loop will print the name and a break, and then the number of books for that person, and then a couple of spaces. And the inner loop will be responsible for printing the number of the stars. So here we can start writing. We can have a for loop with variable I equal to 0. It iterates through the array. Which is books dot length, then I plus plus. Inside this loop we will have document dot write and write the names and the names. Then we can have a break. Then we can have the number of books of a person followed by a space. Then below this we will have another for loop for the stars. So the star equal to 0. Then star, the condition has to be less than the length of books array. And then star plus plus the increment. Inside this we will have document dot write. We have to just print the star. After this we need a line break, so we can mention that too. And don't forget to put the semicolons. So with this, the code, the function for creating the graph is also created. Go and check it. We can see that the bar graph is made where the name is given along with the number of books owned and then the stars to represent it. So this is how the graph is made. With this, we complete all the functions and come to an end to the recitation. I have attached the link for the quiz, so kindly fill it to be marked for the attendance. Thank you and meet you for the next recitation.